we are on the final corner, though that is still 2 more videos. So, damn it, cats. Do you mind? No one needs to see that! What do you have to say for yourself? Okay, part 9. So, first we have 2 volumes of Roll Over and Die, I Will Fight for an Ordinary Life with My Love and Cursed Sword. I have read volume 1. Volume 1 was like just set up. There wasn't like much story to it really. I don't even remember much about what happened. I think there's like, in this world, lots of people have abilities, and this person's ability isn't like really clear what it is, or it's cursed, and they end up pairing with this person who is cursed, but it means that because she's already cursed or negates curses, she can make use of her abilities. That wasn't too clear. There's a light novel, and I think it's much further along. I don't know if there's a third volume of manga. I haven't read the second one because I was so unimpressed with the first one, but I did manage to get this one half price. Next we have Romantic Killer Volume 1. Now I talked a whole bunch about this in another video where I read and talked about a bunch of Volume 1s I'd read recently and whether or not I thought you should read them. If you want a full process of what I thought on it, I'd go watch that, just because I talk about it quite a lot and I don't want to go into as much detail about it. Controversy around imprint aside, I'm going to ignore that because personally I don't care about demographics. I just care about the story. I wasn't too keen on this. Well, it was like, actually, that's not true. Well, I wasn't. Basically, this girl isn't interested in boys. She's interested in chocolate, video games, and her cat. And apparently the birth rate in Japan is declining, and there's a whole magical thing going on where they've decided to try and get younger people into relationships so they can get more kids, and they kind of end up this like magical thing, there isn't a picture of it, magical like imp thing kind of forces her into these situations with lots of boys to make romantic moments happen. I think I wouldn't have an issue with that if the imp wasn't so gross and derogatory about like the things she likes. Like, I play a lot of video games, and this imp keeps saying about how video games are for children and no one should be playing video games by the time you're 15, and it just felt like such an outdated view of things. I didn't like it. Like, I'd have happily enjoyed the whole being forced into romantic situations. I'm all up for that. But I think it's a mix of derogatory about all her loves, which happen to be similar things that I enjoy, so I took it a bit more personally, and also suggesting that this 15-year-old needs to breed quickly. That felt really weird to me as well. I know there's a lot of mixed feelings on the series. A lot of people really enjoy it and love the anime. Good for you, that's okay. To have differing opinions is also okay. I will keep reading it because I think I just kind of hope that she ends up, maybe finds love, but also manages to keep a hold of her interests. I think that's my hope. But yeah, if you want to hear more thoughts, I think I'm a bit more negative though in the other video. Next we have Rooster Fighter 1 and 2, and that's up to date. This is just kind of a mix of if One Punch Man was a rooster. Very OP rooster. There are these monsters that are appearing, and this rooster is on the hunt for a particular one because it killed his sister or kidnapped his sister. I'm not too clear yet. And he wants to try and find them, and vengeance sort of deal. Revenge. Really good though. Really love it. It's just horrendously. It's like kind of like Record of Ragnarok sort of humour. Next we have Rosaria Vampire 1 to 10 and Rosaria Vampire Season 2 1 to 14, and that is a complete, well, it's technically 2 complete series. Most of this I have picked up second hand. It's taken me about 3-4 years, apart from I think the last 3 volumes of Season 2 where I grabbed them in Forbidden Planet. So I have only read up to about here in the main series, because then I started picking them up second hand, and it was like, it's all over the place when you pick up second hand. You can even still see some of the stickers. Most of the quality is actually not too bad. There's I think 1 or 2 that's a bit yellowed, a bit gross, but it's not bad. I mean, you could probably struggle to tell which ones are new and which ones are second hand. I think this is a big fan favourite. I think there's a box set as well, but I think I managed to get it a bit cheaper than a box set, buying it second hand over a few years. I prefer doing that to box sets. I like getting them slowly but surely. And next we have Rose and Blood 1 to 4, and that's up to date. It is a 5-volume series, but I don't even know when volume 5's out. Like, I tried to look. to see when Volume 5's out, and there was like nothing listed, not even on Viz's website. I'm so sorry my voice is going, I'm still not too well, but I really want to talk about manga. I am not a fan of Rose and Blood. I think the story writing's really jumpy. The artwork's gorgeous. I cannot fault the artwork, it is absolutely gorgeous. I think the story's really jumpy, and scene to scene doesn't always make sense, and also all the characters are terrible people, and there's like one character, I think in Volume 2 or 3, which is like the one that makes the most sense and is the most sane character, but everyone else paints them out to be a terrible person because it doesn't line up with what they believe, and it's like, what? Oh my god, what is that? I just got really annoyed. Volume 1 really confused me because some of the English doesn't make sense. Some of the ways the sentences are phrased just confused me, and I was rereading it again and again, and like, I read so much manga, and it's been, I don't remember the last time I had so much trouble like trying to process what I was reading. Again, I can't fault the artwork at all. Okay, next we have Royal Tutor. We have 1 to 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 and 14. I believe it's complete at 16 or 17 volumes. Most of these I've got on second hand or I found on sale. So I think the premise is this guy on the spine of volume 1 is a tutor, and he's been hired to tutor all these princes of this kingdom. I think it's like 4 or 5 of them. So far I've read up to volume 3 and it's just been like light-hearted. He's trying to encourage the princes to do better because they all have their own issues and foibles, so he's just trying to do better and actually manage to teach them. Quite fun, quite light-hearted, quite a hard series to find. I find a lot of Yen Press series that are a bit longer get a bit more tricky, like Black Butler and Bungo Stray Dogs, and this one. As we have Rosie and the Labyrinth 1 and 3, and it's a 3-volume series, so I'm just missing volume 2. This is kind of just like a light-hearted fantasy about a group of characters in this like fantasy world, and they're all kind of cats. And every chapter, there wasn't really much, I've only read volume 1 obviously, there wasn't really much like concurrent story. It was just a series of like short stories of them living in this labyrinth. Very fantasy, very like yokai-y, if that's your kind of thing. Light-hearted. Quite nice artwork too. As we have RWBY, I think actually you pronounce it Ruby, 1, 2 and 4, though there are a whole bunch of different volumes for this Ruby and I got all confused about which ones are which. So I picked these up second hand. I haven't read them yet. Struggling to find a volume 3, so I think I'll hold off till I can find a volume 3. I like the colourful spines and I like the subtitles, though that is a pain to put in my spreadsheet. Next we have The Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts, 1, 2, 4, 5 and 7. So some of these I got second hand, some of them I got half price, and some I got in Forbidden Planet. So I picked up I think 1 and 7 a while back ages ago because I thought the spines looked gorgeous, and then Geeky Dreams has been talking about how amazing the series is, so I'm trying to pick up some more, hence why I got a few more. But a lot of the volumes seem a bit more tricky to find, so I haven't rushed to grab more because they're often a bit more than, sometimes they're more than retail, and I'm not doing that. Next we have Saga of Tenya the Evil, 1 to 5, 6, 7 and 11. So I'm getting some more for Christmas. This is an isekai. It is about a salaryman who's isekai'd into the body of a girl during a world war. It never outright says like World War II, but it's those kind of vibes. And he's kind of like on the side of like Germany, if Germany was a side in this fantasy war, except there's also magic. He's not a great person in this isekai, but because he wasn't a great person in his original life in Japan, it's quite an interesting isekai. It's definitely, so far from what I've read, a more darker-ish one. I really want to try and read up more. I had a gap till quite recently. I think I was missing like 4 or 5 till not long ago, and then I got it second hand. Okay, here we have Sailor Moon 1 to 3, 7, 9, 10, 11, and I have picked up some more over Christmas as well. I had 1 to 2 for quite a long while, then I read volume 1. I don't think it's my kind of thing. I mean, I was like 25 when I read it. Oh, there's a cat on my foot. I was like 25 when I read it. I wonder if just I missed out on it from not reading or watching it as a kid, and it's just I've now outgrown it. I just found it really cheesy and cringy. I'm so sorry. But because it is like a classic series, I really do want to read it, and I am now not missing too much with the other volumes that I've picked up. But also I started to get a bit nervous because they're reprinting the series again, so I'm like, I like this version the best out of the 3, and I don't want them to end up out of print because they're like printing the hardcover and now they're doing another version, I want this one, so I'm trying to sweeten this up before it disappears. Though, I swear new volumes keep popping up, so they might be reprinting this anyway, and I'm just worrying for nothing. But it is a series I've been meaning to pick up for years, so it's good an excuse as any. Saint Seiya Saintia Show 1-7. So I got all of these in HMV for $4.99. Woo! I believe it's complete somewhere in the teens. I don't know much about it. I do know of Saint Seiya, and I was like, let's give it a go if it's $4.99 and I can get 1-7. How amazing is that? As we have Saigami Volume 1, I wanted to pick up a volume from this publisher because it's a new-ish publisher, and I was trying to decide. I think at the time when I was looking there were 3. There was Saigami, Poison Jack or Applejack, and then another one. And I went for this one because I thought the cover looked most cool, and then I realised reading the back it sounded a bit isekai, so I was kind of like, yeah, let's do it. I have not read it yet though. Quite a sturdy feeling volume though. Next we have Saint Young Men 1-9. I believe this is up to date. This was insane, like they were pretty much releasing a volume like a month or every other month for 2022. I really struggled to keep up. I've only read up to volume 3. This is a really interesting series. Basically, Jesus and Buddha, to celebrate the turning of the millennia, have come down to Japan to just have a holiday and relax for a bit, and they're living together in an apartment. And yeah. So personally, I'm not religious, but I did really enjoy it still. I found it interesting how many references to Christianity and Buddhism there was, and at the end of every chapter they walk through and explain each of the references, so I feel like I've learned quite a lot. I can't speak if it's accurate or not because I just don't know, but it has been an interesting read and I've enjoyed it if that's your sort of thing. But they are quite pricey because I mean they're nice big hardbacks, they're not like light or anything. I really love the spines. Next we have the Saint's Magic Power is Omnipotent or Omnipotent 1-5, and I do know I'm getting 6 for Christmas. This is an isekai about a 30-something-year-old who has been isekai'd into a world. Her and another girl have been isekai together, and when they both appear in the new world, it's assumed that the other girl is a saint, and they're like, well, what do we do with her? Is she a mistake? And they're like, well, you kind of just chill for a bit, we can't send you back. Or at least, or we can't send you back yet, I can't remember which. And she basically potters about for a bit, gets bored, and then ends up joining the Botanical Society. Not society. She ends up joining the place that makes potions in the palace. She turns out to have a real knack for it, she's really good at it. There's some creeping suspicion from her of maybe she does have some abilities, but we're not too clear yet. Really good, really light-hearted. There is some romance, it's not particularly heavy though, so if you're looking for like a more female-led isekai, I would recommend this one. And then we also have the Saint's Magic Power is Omnipotent, the Other Saint, Volume 1, which is a spin-off based on the other girl who was isekai'd. However, I would say don't start reading this one until you've at least read Volume 5, because that's kind of where the story starts in this. In fact, there are scenes from Volume 5 in this volume, so it would be completely spoilery, so you need to roughly get to here before you— this is my pet peeve, particularly with isekai spin-offs. You need to have read so far in the series, but it's not always clear how far in you need to have read. Oh, I should do a video about that, because it really drives me up the wall. Oh, my voice. Oh, I just want to talk manga. Please don't do this to me. Okay, next we have Sakamoto Days 1-4, and this is a fairly new-ish Shonen Jump Viz release. It is a light-hearted, this guy used to be a world-class assassin until he met a lady, fell in love, they got married and had a kid, and now he's a bit more rounder, but he's still as much of a trained assassin. Mostly the series has just been a series of people trying to hunt him down and kill him off, but he's a nice guy and it pretty much doesn't happen. It's very light-hearted, very silly. Do like it. Next we have Sakura Hime, The Legend of Princess Sakura 1-3, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and I think I have another couple on the way. This is a Arina Tanemura series, and I found a whole bunch of them quite cheap secondhand, and I was like, let's go for it, because I think the spines are gorgeous. I think the back covers are absolutely gorgeous. Oh gosh. I can't tell you what the series is about, I haven't started reading it. I think there's not too many more left that I don't have. I think there's like 12 maybe. so I'm probably going to hold off and binge them all at once. Sakura-san Wants to Be Noticed, Volume 1. I haven't read it yet. Picked it up, spur of the moment, in Bin Planet London. It's part of the 3 for 2. I hear a lot of people have quite enjoyed it. It's meant to be a nice slice of life. And next we have Saki the Succubus Hungers Tonight 1 to 5, and that is a complete series. This is a plastic wrapped ecchi series. Is that the name of the author? Wow. So, premise of this story is Saki is a succubus, but she is she's not very old. She's like just hit the age where she needs to be a succubus, and she's too nervous. She only wants to hunger for someone she loves. She finds a guy who's really nice and sort of takes her in, but they're too nervous to do anything, and like the whole point of the story is like leading up to them boning. It's actually kinda sweet-ish, sorta. There are some moments, especially in the last volume, where you're like, this is a bit weird. Very weird. Also, big age gap. I think she's like in her teens, late teens, and then he's in his late 20s, I think. Maybe even 30s. Yeah. Kinda sweet on the scale of ecchi, but not great. Next we have Samurai 8 Tale of Hachimaru 1 to 5. That's complete. I have only read the first volume because I didn't think it was that great and I struggled to read more. It is the same artist as Naruto. I believe the series got cancelled at 5 volumes, and generally people have said that it's not that great. I didn't hear anything about it until after I picked it all up. I mean, I probably would have anyway, so never mind. But yeah, it's only 5 volumes, and like, I feel like a lot of the selling point was like, yeah, from the creator of Naruto, the legendary creator of Naruto. It's like, okay, but like, what about the series itself? As we have Sasaki and Peeps, full title, That Time I Got Dragged Into a Psychic Battle in Modern Times While Trying to Enjoy a Relaxing Life in Another World, Looks Like Magical Girls Are on Deck, Volume 1. I haven't read this yet, though actually this was a volume where, when it arrived, it was actually pretty damaged. The spine was ripped, and I contacted Blackwell's and they were quite happy to send me another one. Oops, dropped the Lego. They were quite happy to send me another one, which was quite nice. I'm usually not picky at all with the state of volumes. Spines are usually the only thing I'm a bit more picky about, just because I display the spines on the shelves. That's like the one thing you mainly see, and it's what holds the manga together, so it's what I'm most picky about. But I haven't read it yet. I did have it on pre-order because it's meant to be an isekai. I just need to read it. Also, love the colour of the spine. Next, we have The Saviour's Book Cafe Story in Another World, 1 to 4, and that is up to date. It is complete at 5 volumes, and Volume 5 comes out sometime in May 2023, and you bet your ass I have it on pre-order. Oh my god. This series, it just gets me in all the damn feels. This is the sort of series that, oh my gosh, rant incoming, be warned. A lot of people hate on isekai, and sometimes I understand it. However, I don't understand the blanket hate on isekai. People are like, oh, I hate all isekai, and it's often, no, you don't hate all isekai. You hate isekai with a bland protagonist and a harem of women. It's like me saying, I hate all shoujo, but no, I just hate high school romance. Not all shoujo is high school romance. Not all isekai is bland protagonist with booby women. This is like the prime example of isekai that doesn't fit into what people think an isekai is. I feel predominantly it's a lot of women who are generally not interested in isekai. From my experience across Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, I feel like this is a series that has definitely pulled a lot of women into the genre and has let them want to start trying other things, because especially I've had a lot of people message me or ask me, I've enjoyed this series, what else would you recommend? At which point, oh, let me give you a whole bunch of things then. Oh, there's a lot of villainess, especially. I remember reading this one, and it was last year around Christmas, and it was late. I was sat by the Christmas tree, I had some Christmas chill lo-fi playing, and I read this, and like, it just made my heart swell. I just was like giddy reading it. It was so lovely, it was so wholesome. I realised I've not said a single thing about what the actual damn series is. So our main character is a 30-something, and she has been summoned by God to go and fix this world, to join it as a saviour. And she's like, okay, but I have these conditions. And she asks for all these things that makes it so she'll be able to live a nicer life. She runs a bookshop on the outskirts of this like castle town. She can do loads of abilities. She can summon furniture, she can imbue, put magic in the food that she cooks. It's wonderful. And then this knight fellow turns up and is like, oh, bookstore, book cafe, don't mind if I do. And then niceness and cuteness and shoes. Ah, I think the only issue I have with this series is by the end of volume 2, some slight spoilers, by the end of volume 2, the first arc kind of comes to an end. It kind of wraps up, and then there's like 2 pages of like rushed story. It's like, and then they did this, and then this, and then this, and then this. How nice. It's like, whoa, 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 hang on, stop right there, one moment. And then volume 3 kind of starts this new arc. I think my preference would have been, because it's only a 5-volume series, if they'd actually just done one arc for the whole thing. I think it would have been my preference. But that's not to say I'm not enjoying it, just it's my only negative about it, I think. Otherwise, absolutely recommend. I know some people are having trouble picking up volumes, which is a shame. I do think they're coming back in stock. I have seen volume 1 a couple of places online. I can't remember where now though, which is so unhelpful. Also, it would only be in the UK. But yeah, volume 5 is the final volume, and that comes out in May this year. I'm so excited and so sad. Next we have Say I Love You 1 to 18, now it's complete. I didn't manage to complete this till really recently. So Say I Love You was the first glimpse, I think, of shoujo that I had. I watched the anime while I was at uni and got really confused by the ending of the season because like it didn't feel like an ending. And then a few years later I was in Forbidden Planet or something, and I saw there were manga volumes and there were 18! I was like, well, the story must go past where the anime was. And yeah, it really does. It's also quite a bit different. I would say the story is like different from like volume 4 or something. So I read up to, I think, volume 10? Yeah, I think I read up to volume 10, and then I was missing, I think, a few teen volumes, so I haven't read any further because I didn't have volumes till recently. I'm looking forward to completing this one because it does mean a lot, this series. Next we have Sayonara Game 1, well I think it's one volume. I think this leads into another series called Change World, which I have over with C. I haven't read it yet, but I will do. Next we have Scarlet 1 and 2, and this is complete. I didn't think this was very good at all. It is a GL vampire werewolf story, but like they tried to cram in so much lore and story. It's like literally you're sprinting alongside trying to keep up, and it was just not very good. Maybe if they'd made it 6-7 volumes, that was how much story I think they crammed into it, but it was just not great, and I didn't get the ending. There's a lot of, it is a plastic wrap series though, if that intrigues you, I guess. Next we have Scattering Is Revenge and Bloom 1 and 2, and that is the series complete. I must say, I read volume 1 and I was like, oh my god, what is this? This is so weird. There's some weird, like, forcing upon each other, and then there's like, brother forcing upon, I'm not sure I like this. And then I read volume 2, and I don't know what it was about volume 2, but like, I really got into it and I couldn't stop reading. I don't think it was very good, but it really caught my attention, and I was like, flipping the pages. It is a BL Omega story. I don't think there's anything more to describe about it. It's only 2 volumes long. Next we have A Skull Frozen in Time 1 to 4, and that is a series complete. I picked these up because I thought the covers look absolutely gorgeous, and I stand by it. The covers look absolutely gorgeous. I don't think the art is as good on the inside. I think the faces look a bit strange on the inside, which is a shame. I wasn't too keen. I kind of liked the mystery, but I don't think it was my kind of thing. I think it got a bit too deep, and yeah. But I know a lot of other people have enjoyed it. I think that's just more a me thing. I got most of these actually like half price on Blackwells. They kept popping up, so I think most of them were $4.99 or $5.99, which is quite nice. There are probably some warnings for this in regards to, I think a character takes their own life and they're trying to figure out which character it was that did it, and they're all stuck in the school until they can figure it out. Kind of strange. Lots of like psyche stuff. I don't know how to describe it. Next we have Skull Rumble 1 to 4 and 7 and 8. So I again watched some of the anime while I was at uni, and I was like, oh, this is really cool, let's try and pick up some of the manga. Not realising how horrendously out of print this series is. I mean, it's Del Rey. But again, I was an unknowing uni student all those years ago. So old. So I am picking them up as and when I can grab them, but I don't think it actually finished printing anyway, so I don't think I can finish picking it up. Most of these were like £3, £4 or less. They're not that expensive. Some of them are a bit battered. I mean, that one's got a bit taken out of it, volume 3. But we'll see what I can grab. Next we have Scumbag Loser. I picked this up like a week ago. This was on sale in HMV for $9.99 or $11.99. So I decided to grab it because I didn't think I'd ever grab it otherwise, and also it's plastic wrapped, and I do love plastic wrapped manga. Ezuya Sensei's Pious Lie Volume 1. This was quite an interesting read. It is complete for Omnis, and I have since managed to pick up another few. It is quite a adult series. Was it plastic wrapped? I think it was plastic wrapped. It's about a character who has had poor experiences with men and being assaulted and being blackmailed, and like how she navigates that. It was definitely, it's like, I want to say slice of life, but slice of life to me always feels like it's chill, but this one isn't chill particularly. But it was an interesting, compelling read. It's not particularly a nice read though, so I would look into it more before you pick it up if you want to. Next we have See You Tomorrow at the Food Court. This is one volume, though I'm not sure if this is another series where they had so much like positive review they're gonna pick it back up. Maybe, hopefully. I'd love it because I absolutely adored it. It's predominantly it is about two characters, the two on the spine, who are unlikely friends. So there's like a gal and a nerd, basically. And they were really good friends in like, I don't know what the word is. I'm gonna say primary school because that's what we use in the UK. They were good friends in primary school and then they went to different secondary schools, but they still meet up at the food court at the train station that they both train from after school, and they meet and they chat, and every chapter is just them chatting about something different, and you know, it's just really lovely to read. It's wonderfully wholesome and lovely, and they're so supportive of each other. It's really nice. I would definitely recommend if you want like a chill, calm manga. It was just really nice to read. As we have Semelfaris. I'm not going to show so plastic wrapped, and also this one's, everything is covered but it doesn't look like it is. 1 to 3, I haven't started reading it yet. I believe it's a GL and it's plastic wrapped, and that's literally all I know about it. Next we have Seraph at the End 1 to 23, and behind Piglet we also have 24 and 25. So Seraph at the End I've been collecting for quite a long time, though I stopped reading at volume 10. Now it's such a dumb reason. I used to commute to work by train, and at the time I was reading, I was reading Magi and Seraph at the End while I was doing my commute, and I remember once I got really into a volume of Seraph at the End and it caused me to miss my train for work because I just didn't notice, and I kind of weirdly started to associate my anger at missing my train with Seraph at the End, and I struggled to get back into it. I've tried to stay up to date, but I'm still angry at the series for making me miss my train. Especially since the trains were hourly, so I got to work an hour late. Thankfully, everyone was greatly amused and I didn't get into trouble, but I was still very annoyed. Now I need to move all of these. Next we have 7 Days, Monday to Sunday, and I got this as part of 3 for 2 in London. $13.99. It is quite chunky at least. I haven't read it yet, but I had been wanting to pick it up for a while, so I needed to make, I needed one in this price bracket to make a 3 for 2, and I was like, oh wonderful, I can finally grab this. Next we have 7 Deadly Sins. What have we got? We've got 1 to 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 29, 30, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 41. I didn't mean to read all those out, but I couldn't quite tell which like clear run I had. So the first, I think, 4 or 5 of these I bought in Forbidden Planet, and then all of these I have bought secondhand. Yeah, can you tell? Aha! Strange noise. So most of them, yeah, bought secondhand. Usually cheaper than about £5, £6, so way cheaper than 3 for 2. Some of them I've gotten for £4, some for £3. Again, I bet you can't tell which ones. Haha! I felt it was probably the only way I was going to be able to collect a 41 volume series. Is it complete at 41 or is there more? Final volumes, yes, complete at 41. I think I am now missing like 6 or 7. I can't remember. 13 would give me a clear run all the way up to here. 28 would give me a clear run to there. Okay. And then there's a few gaps later here. But definitely a series I am slowly but surely collecting, and I've been having quite a lot of fun just getting a few volumes every now and again, but I've been collecting this for years. I do quite like the mural down the spines. I love spines that connect. Next we have Secretly I've Been Suffering with Being Secretly, I've been suffering about being sexless, and this is a one-shot. I haven't read it yet, but there are a few volumes kind of like this one-shot that deal about quite deep issues that I'm interested in trying. I picked this up secondhand. I haven't gotten around to it for no particular reason, I just haven't. I'm not sure it goes here wait, alphabetically it shouldn't go here. No! That's what I mean, like most of it's secondhand, but then there's a few where like it's a mistake in the wrong place. And next we have Sex Ed 120% 1-3, and that is a series complete. Now, I must say, I feel like this is a series that literally everyone should read. It discusses, it's like a better sex education than I ever got at school. But it isn't necessarily just sort of explicit sex education, it talks about safety. So I think the very first chapter is talking about like protection, such as dental dams and condoms and such. But also there's a whole bunch of stuff about sexuality and being happy with who you are and learning about and understanding who you are. There's a whole bunch about consent, there's a whole bunch about female health, male health, about if you're not comfortable or you're not interested, but also about, say, protection between same-sex couples as well. And it's absolutely glorious to read. It is horrendously thin and very expensive for how thin it is. So I would recommend trying to find it discounted or secondhand, but really, really would recommend this. Just because I think, like, it's so sad that I feel like I learned things from, oh dear. So there's just a whole bunch of potentially sensitive topics, but I think it approaches all of them in a really nice, friendly, comfortable way. But also, most countries don't do a proper sex education. Sex education is terribly appalling everywhere. I think it's really, really good, really interesting, would recommend. Okay, next we have Shadow's House Volume 1, and I am getting another volume for Christmas. This was really interesting because it just was so different to other stuff I've read. So this girl, she's kind of like a doll, and this is kind of the real person, and this house is just a house of shadows, and they have a bunch of dolls that look like them, and they act as like the maid carer for the person that they look like. And that's kind of the premise so far. She's spending a lot of time cleaning up because they kind of produced this suit and she needs to clean it constantly. It's kind of it, but it's a bit weird, a bit interesting. It is interesting. As we have Shangri-La Frontier Volume 1, again as we have Shangri-La Frontier Volume 1, and again I'm getting another volume for Christmas. Really, really like this. This is an isekai, from Trash Game Hunter to God Tier Game Master. So this guy loves playing trash video games, and I almost relate with the manga. He loves playing trash video games, he loves experiencing the bugs and how terrible things are, and then he decides to have a go at playing a good one, which I believe is Shangri-La Frontier. And he's like, wow, this is really, really good, and he gets really, really good at it, and he decides to wear this weird bird mask. I can't remember why, but he decides to wear a weird bird mask as part of his character. But it is like a video game isekai. It's everything I like out of a video game isekai. The stats, weapon upgrades, quests. It's really good. Would recommend, but it's a bit pricey, so try to find it cheap. She professed herself pupil of the Wise Man 1-4 isekai. It's an okay isekai. I've read the first 2 volumes. So our main character plays as like an old dude, old wise man. No picture of him. He decides while he's playing the game to try and change his avatar into a young girl just to see what it'd look like, and then something happens and he's kind of in the game for real, but he's now in the game for real as this young girl, and he's like, oh, what have I done? So he kind of pretends to be the pupil of this old wise man who is well known in the game, so people still like respect him and stuff, and it sort of explains why she can use the same abilities, powers that the old man could use. Main problem with the first volume is, in the back I believe they say, I can't remember if it's in the back of volume 1 or volume 2, I believe they say they weren't sure how many manga volumes they were going to be allowed, and they needed to try and wrap up the first light novel in the first manga volume, or the first 2 manga volumes, I can't remember. As I've said previously, usually there's like 3 manga volumes to light novel, so it was really crammed in, the story like breakneck speed kind of pacing. But then I think it was confirmed that they could do more volumes and it'd be fine, so the pacing has slowed down again, and it's meant to get a lot better, basically. But it's okay, I've managed to pick a lot of these up secondhand though, to be fair, so I'm gonna keep trying to do that. Next we have Sheeply Horned Witch Romy Volume 1. This is all that's out at the moment. I don't think Volume 2 comes out until like summer next year, and I think I read this over the summer of this year, so about a year and a bit between volumes. This I actually wasn't that keen on. I found the art a bit weird and I didn't really like the concept of the story. It's kind of post-apocalyptic. This guy in this school is like the only one awake apart from this like sheepy witch person. Everyone else is asleep, and then there are these weird dark monsters that are like trying to get into the school, but she's holding them at bay. They're kind of just like chilling, and then things start to go a bit wrong, and it just wasn't my kind of thing. But I do again like the grey on the spines. Shikimori's Not a Cutie 3, 5 and 7 all got secondhand. Volume 3 is probably one of the worst condition secondhands in my collection, which is unfortunate. But I did get this semi for free because World of Books messed up one of my orders. And they sent me like extra volumes to say sorry. I think it all got a bit confused because I'd done a big World of Books order and it all got a bit wrong. I haven't started reading it, I don't have early volumes. I hear it's similar-ish to like Komi vibes, so I'm trying to get some more of these. Next we have Shiori's Diary 1 to 3. That is complete. I didn't overly enjoy this series. Basically our main character finds a diary from her husband detailing explicit affairs with other women, and she's like, well, I'm gonna get on this, and starts having misc affairs with other men. It's a very explicit manga, it's plastic wrapped, lots of lightsabers, and then it completes at volume 3, and it kind of completes the way I thought it would, and I got very angry. I didn't like it. It put me off. But not sure I'd recommend. If you want to read a more explicit, not fantasy series, maybe try this one, but next we have Shortcake Cake 1 to 12, and that is complete. I have got to be honest. I don't like Shortcake Cake. Predominantly because of some actions around, is it volume 6 from the main character? I really enjoyed the first like 2-3 volumes. It was great. The artwork is lovely, gorgeous, like the main character, and then volume 6 happened, and oh my gosh, I got so angry. I got so angry, and I just couldn't get over it for the rest of the series. I'm so sorry if you're a fan, but it got me so angry. And huge spoilers, so I won't talk about it now, but like, if you're that interested, like, I don't know, message me if you don't care about spoilers. It made me angry. And I know some people are like, well, it's just part of the story, it's sweet. I'm like, what? No, not for me. Though I did really like in volume 12 we had an epilogue, and so this is the same manga artist. It has Sign of Affection. I absolutely love that alphabetically their series fall next to each other, by the way. It makes me so happy. The art style is definitely a bit different between the two. You can see her later series Sign of Affection is a lot more like detailed, and in the epilogue for Shortcake Cake that is almost her art style. Her art style sort of changes a bit to be more like, you can see the jump between Shortcake Cake and Sign of Affection basically, and I really found that interesting and like that. Next we have A Sign of Affection 1 to 5, and that's up to date. I love Sign of Affection. It's a college romance where our main character is deaf, and we kind of are seeing the world through the way she sees it. So like, if she can't fully understand what someone's saying, like their text might be a bit blurred, letters might be swapped around, you might see different words of the text bubble, and it's really interesting, and it's such a wholesome, sweet thing. She's like interested in this guy, and it's just so adorable, and I love the spines. The spines are just like this amazing pastel gradient rainbow. It's so pretty. It's such a nice series. It's such a calm series. So chill. Though I have doubts about this white text to brown text. Why? Next we have A Silent Voice 1, 2, 4 and to 7. I am missing volume 3, so I haven't started reading it yet. This is like a classic series, so literally I'm gonna get volume 3 and then read them all together. Next we have Silver Spoon 1 to 5, 8, 10 and 14. I read volume 1 and I loved the series, and then it was so hard to find other volumes, and they're very expensive anyway. It's the same artist as Full Metal Alchemist, and this is kind of like a farming manga, except it's like real farming, like up at 4 AM to look after the cows kind of farming, learning about the tools and the gear that you need to use. Really interesting. And then as a big fan of like Harvest Moon and like fake video game farming, I really wanted to read about like realsies farming. But like it's just so hard to find volumes for any form of decent price. Some of these I got in Forbidden Planet, some of them, most of them actually I got second hand for like £7, £8 sort of deal, which is really sad that £8 is cheaper than 3 for 2. It is complete at 15 volumes, so I do still have a bit of a way to go though, unfortunately. Next we have Sino Alice Volume 1. This is a manga volume of my partner's. I believe it's based on a mobile game actually, and he's picked up Volume 2 recently as well, but it's not on the shelves yet. I can't tell you anything about it except mobile game. As we have Skeleton Knight in Another World Volume 1 and Volume 8, so I got that, look for sale, $4.99, and then, yeah, so this is an isekai. It reminds me of a cross between, like, Overlord and Goblin Slayer. It's quite dark for what, like, you look at it and it doesn't look that dark, it's quite dark, it's quite brutal, which is, like, parts of why it reminds me of Goblin Slayer and also some other bits, and then Overlord because it's a skeleton. It's kind of a light-hearted version of Overlord meets Goblin Slayer. It's kind of fun, but again, I've only read Volume 1 and I'm missing a whole bunch. Another isekai I'd like to try and get more of in 2023. As we have Skip and Loaf at 1 to 4 and Volume 5, again getting Volume 6 for Christmas. This is a slice of life high school. There is some romance, but so far not really the focus. So our main character is this character, and she is like a country bumpkin, I think is the plight. That's probably not that polite, but she is like a country sort of bumpkin, and she's come to Tokyo to live with her aunt and is going to school and trying to navigate city life. It does remind me a bit of like Homie, because she has like communication issues, but like in a different kind of way to Comey, in that she's not particularly aware of other people, what they're feeling, but not in a bad way. She's like the kindest person there ever has been. She's trying to learn and she doesn't understand and she's getting used to it, and it is really, really lovely. I absolutely recommend. Do read it, please. Also, Rainbow Spines. Next we have Skull-Faced Bookseller Hunter 1 to 3, and this is behind. I am missing Volume 4, it's quite wedged in. So it's about our main character who is a skeleton and sells books. And it's literally just some slice of life chaptered stories about them selling books to strange people. It's really fun, lighthearted. Volumes are quite pricey, so I've not jumped in to grab Volume 4 yet. I should do, because like I've had 1 to 3 for so many years. I just need to get Volume 4. Next we have Sleepy Princess in the Demon Castle 1 to 19. That is up to date. I really love Sleepy Princess in Demon Castle. I've read to about Volume 9, and then I took a break. They kept coming out way too quick. I couldn't keep up. Such low dangling lights on this shelf. Sleepy Princess. It's about a princess who's been kidnapped to the Demon Castle and is kind of being held hostage, but also not really. And she ends up making friends with all the demons, and everyone's super fond of her in the castle, and it's lovely. So sweet. It's just like, it's almost like a silly fantasy slice of life. I would potentially recommend, though I believe earlier volumes are actually harder to find nowadays, unfortunately. I don't know if it's on the Shonen Jump app or something. It is fun and lighthearted, and also the characters are so cute. Next we have Slow Life in Another World, I Wish, Volumes 1 and 2. I have read Volume 1, I don't think it's that good. It is an isekai. It got a real weird with like slave and booby girls and stuff. I wasn't that impressed. I don't actually have much more to say about it because I thought it was a bit, I picked up Volume 2 because it was half price, but I've not read it yet. Slumbering Beauty 1 and 2. So Volume 1 was gifted to me by Geeky Dreams. It had been on my want to try list. I don't remember why though, because she sent me Volume 1 going, I saw it was on your want to try list, and I was like, was it? And yeah, it was. I don't remember why. And I saw Volume 2 like the following week, so I decided to grab it because apparently it's completed 2 volumes, but I've not read it yet. I'm so sorry. So we have Sneeze by Urasawa. I picked this up to make up a 3 for 2, but I've not read it yet. I'm usually a bit weird about picking up one-shots, especially since, look, it's like broken up my collection, because it's like, I've got 1 Sticky Outie volume, and there aren't any more volumes in the series to pick up to make it. I don't like odd ones out. I don't like Volume 1's touching, which is really silly. Next we have Snow White with the Red Hair 1 to 20. I did pick up Volume 22 a bit ago and then only realised afterwards that I don't have Volume 21. I'm not sure if I've seen Volume 21 in store though. This series has been so weird printing wise, because Volume 19 came out in stores before Volume 18 did, and like I remember seeing like Forbidden Planet post like, oh, we've got 19 but no 18, and then like a few months later finally we've got 18. They were really confused about it as well. But like every store I went to they had 19 but not 18. So strange, so strange. So I've read up to about volume 10, 11, and then I kind of dipped off for a bit. I'll be honest, it got a bit dull around here. I see a lot of people say it sort of dips a bit in the middle, but it does pick back up again, so I think I just need to swing back into it. But I am finding it a bit dull where I was, so it's harder to get back into it now. It's quite just a light-hearted fantasy shoujo. There's romance. I wish there was more romance though, I think. There's a little cat here on these. It's so cute. It hurts 1 to 3, 5, 7, 13 and 14. So I am way behind on this series. Loads. I think all of them I've picked up secondhand. I think it's complete of 15 volumes. Like not even half of these. As we have Soma Spider So What 1 to 11, and that is up to date with the main series. I love Soma Spider So What. It is, I think, one of my top isekais in my collection. I absolutely adore it. For the most part, up to like volume 8, 9, the only character we kind of follow is the spider, who I don't think actually has a name, because, I mean, why would they refer to themselves? So basically this school of girls being isekai'd into a spider, and they are aware when they've like been born by Spider Mom, and the Spider Mom starts eating spiders, so the main character runs away. And then they start realizing that, trying to figure out where they are, what's going on, and they realise that they can use abilities, and then they can start gaining XP and levelling up, and they've got health and stamina and stats and skill trees, and they can evolve, and it's got so much that I love in isekai. This is, I think, one of the first where I read, first isekais I read with that kind of system, and I really enjoyed it. Would recommend, though it's like, things have really changed in the last few volumes and I need to decide how I feel about it. As we have Soma Spider So What the Daily Lives of the Komoko Sisters 1 to 4, and that's up to date. So this is a spin-off from the main series. It's like a 4-coma surrounding characters, spiders. It's kind of spoilery. I don't think you can really read it again until you get to like volume 7, 8. I actually think they say in the back of these what the story goes up to. But it is more chill, funny, silly, slice of life 4-coma style. If you're a fan of the main series, I'd pick it up, but you couldn't read it on its own. As we have Solo leveling 1 to 4, and again I'm getting 5 for Christmas. This was the first colour series that I picked up, and I think probably the first manhwa, though I didn't really know what manhwa was until like I'd got 2 volumes in. I wasn't oh no, to the end of volume 1. Never mind, to the end of volume 1. Really enjoying this. Absolutely, it's got like stats and stuff, so it's not an isekai, but it has everything I like from an isekai. Silly, sudden OP-ness, and stats and skills and stuff, and oh, there's some beautiful moments, beautiful dramatic moments. I absolutely adore it, love it. Can't wait to read more volumes. If they have Something's Wrong With Us 1 to 9, there was a huge gap between volumes for these. I think it took ages, was it for volume 7 or volume 6 to come out? And now there's like a huge swathe. I've seen people with volume 12 and I'm like, hang on, I find out you didn't see volume 11 yet. I see a lot of people really like the series. I was a bit indifferent to the first arc. I'm enjoying the second arc a lot more. So it's set in like a traditional Japanese, I want to say sweet shop. I feel like that's putting it down to what it is. It's a lot more grandiose than that. But they make sweets with like red bean paste and bean paste. And the main character is a girl who lived there with her mum when her mum worked there, and then the dad, the proprietor, was murdered, and the suspect was this girl's mum, and she went to prison, and many years later the child got a letter from her mum saying I was innocent, I didn't do it. And then the child decides to, in disguise, pretend to be someone else, go back to the sweet shop to try and figure out what happened, basically. I really like reading it because like all the sweets are so pretty, they make them so pretty, and they like make flowers out of them, they're gorgeous, they're pretty. I was indifferent to the story in the first half, but yeah, again, enjoying the second arc a bit more. Next we have The Sorcerer King of Destruction and the Golem of the Barbarian Queen 1 and 2. Now I thought this would complete at 2 volumes, and when I then looked on 7C's website, they had volume 3 coming out at some point. I was like, okay, well then it's not complete at 2 volumes, is it? It is an isekai. It was okay. Nothing amazing. It was light-hearted. Well, not too light-hearted, it was actiony. It which is fine. Next we have Soul Eater 1 to 4, 6, 9, 14, 20, 23, and 25. So for ages, I've pretty much just had 1 and 2 of Soul Eater, and the fact that they're printing the fancy hardback editions, I just assumed that the series was now out of print. So sad. Then I managed to grab, I think, like 9 and 6 secondhand, or maybe just 9, and then I started seeing more volumes pop up in Forbidden Planet. I was like, oh, okay, and it turns out that it does look like they are reprinting the series, which makes me very, very, very happy. So I'm starting to try and pick this up again. I've only read up to like volume 2 because that's all I had for ages. I only got volume 3 really recently, but very excited to be able to pick up more of these. Next we have SP Baby 1 and 2, and that is complete. This is the same manga artist as Happy Marriage, An Incurable Case of Love. This guy hires this woman to be a security guard, and then love flourishes. I think I've described the entire series. It's okay. I remember reading it when I went to go get my COVID vaccine, and we had to queue, and I queued for like 3 hours, and I read it while queuing. That's my memory of the series more than the story. Next we have Space Battleship Yamato, and I think that is complete. This is my partner's. I haven't read it. I think he's read it. I think he enjoyed it. Next we have Spice and Wolf 1 to... Have I got a clear run? Oh, wrong way round. Don't do that. 1 to 12 and 16, so I am missing 13, 14, 15, and then I'll be complete on this series. I think Spice and Wolf is some of my favourite spines in my collection. I think the spines are gorgeous. I absolutely love them. I have been holding off reading it because volumes have been so hard to come by, and I'm still missing 3 here. I only got these 2 quite recently, and this one quite recently, and I think volume 3 quite recently. I think I was missing volume 3 for an age. But having a clear run to 12 is quite neat. I just need to get the last few here. Splendid Work of a Monster Maid 1 to 3. I absolutely adore this series. I think this is one of my favourite series of 2022. Spoiler for that upcoming video whenever I manage to film it and post it. So our main character is our main character. There is a group of characters who work as maids for the ex-Demon King, who has lost his abilities because his younger brother has distributed his abilities to other people, and they're kind of going around trying to collect them for their master. But the art style is gorgeous. If I can not drop the volume. The art is so pretty. I would absolutely recommend, even if it's just to look at the gorgeous artwork. But every chapter is them going to a new place to try and find out where the ex-Demon Lord's powers are being used, and then try to collect it, kinda. And that's about the premise. It's very pretty. It's gorgeous. It's fun to see. And Volume 4 is out again. I think I'm getting it for Christmas, but it doesn't release too often, I don't think. I don't know even if it's complete, but it's very nice. The spines are really easily damaged. I did get Volume 2 second hand because it's quite a pricey series, and I got that for like £6. But yeah. Next we have Spriggan Deluxe Edition 1. Is that a sticker? My partner picked this up because he's interested. I don't really know much about it though, I'm sorry. I'm not even sure he's read it yet. It's with Spy Classroom 1 and 2, and I'm not sure if this is up to date now. I've read the first one. I wasn't too impressed. It was okay. I hope that it picks up more steam. I think there's a lot of characters they've suddenly thrown at us to begin with, and then we kind of just got a bit more like interaction and fun story towards the end. So high hopes for Volume 2. Next we have Spy Family 1 to 8. Everyone knows Spy Family, I feel. It was interesting. This is one of the very few series that I actually knew of before it got not even printed but licensed, because I saw some panels on Reddit many years ago that's in like the first few chapters, and I was like, oh my god, this looks amazing. What manga series is this? Spy Family. Oh, it's not even in English. Oh, that's a shame. And then when they announced it was getting a license, and I was like, oh my god, I actually know this one. I'm so excited. So I pre-ordered Volume 1, and yeah, it's absolutely amazing. It's wonderful. It's great. Everyone should read it. It's lighthearted. I'm trying to get my parents to read it, to be honest. Next we have Starry Sky Volume 1. I picked this up in foils because I'd literally never heard or seen this, and I didn't have any series printed by DMP. I was like, why not? Let's try a new publisher. Unfortunately, I learned when I went home and put it in my spreadsheet that there is only 1 volume. I'm not sure if it got cancelled or DMP went under, but there is only 1 volume of the series, so don't pick it up because you can't read anymore. Next we have Star-Crossed 1-4, and that is a complete series. It's the same manga artist as Kiss Him Not Me. Got a similar main character that instead of being obsessed with BL is obsessed with an idol, in particular this idol. While at a concert, things get a bit weird and they kind of switch bodies. Weird, silly times ensue for another 3 volumes, basically. I wasn't sure on the ending. It felt a bit rushed. I don't know if it got cancelled or what, but it felt like it needed like 1 more volume. It was all a bit strange towards the end. Artwork was fun, and it was quite silly and lighthearted up till then at least. I've just noticed how off Volume 4's spine is to the others. Next we have Star Wars, it's the other way around. Star Wars The Edge of Balance 1 and 2. I have a feeling there is only 2 volumes, but I can't remember if it like actually wrapped up at the end. It's just a bit of story set in the Star Wars universe during the High Republic. They're on a planet and something attacks and the Jedi fight them off, as is always the case. It's always nice to read about Star Wars. I really like the High Republic era, and I feel like we need way more content from then anyway. So that was a fun read, even if it was only 2 volumes. And next we have Star Wars The Guardians of the Wills, not sure, which is surrounding these 2 characters who are first introduced in Rogue One, and it's sort of just a bit of a prequel story to them, a bit more background to them. It was interesting, again, 1 volume, 1 shot, it was okay. Next we have The Legends of Luke Skywalker. I haven't read this one, I think my partner has. I hadn't realised this was a manga, I thought it was a graphic novel, because I'm blind and can't read apparently. I just need to read it though, I assume it's something to do with Luke. And then the last Star Wars one we have is Star Wars Leia Princess of Alderaan Volume 1. I believe there are more coming, but this came out like a year and a half, 2 years ago, so it's probably taking a long while. This was really good. It's just some story around Leia during her teenage years on Alderaan. We just need them to print more. I believe there are some more Star Wars manga. I believe there are some Rebels volumes, which I don't have, which I need to pick up. But I think I was also kind of vaguely holding off picking those up till I actually finished watching Rebels. Next we have Steins Gate Zero Volume 3. This is the only Steins Gate manga volume I have. I believe there is some Steins Gate manga, and also there's volumes 1 and 2 of this. I picked this up secondhand for £5. I know that's right. £5! So exciting! And it's not even like that bad of quality. Like, look at that spine. Udon Entertainment volumes are always a bit more expensive. £5. I wonder if it was a mistake or not, but very happy. It's always hardest to film the bottom shelf. Down here we have Strange Adventure of the Broke Mercenary 1-3, and that's up to date. It is a fantasy, not an isekai, about a guy who joins a group of people to go on a raid to a dungeon. A lot of the team end up not making it because they don't plan it properly, and he kind of gets stuck with the one other person from the party who survives, and they kind of get stuck in this like really big dungeon, and then they meet another group of people and they're just trying to escape the dungeon. And volume 3 they have managed to escape this dungeon. Not much more has happened yet, except she wants to try and still go around with him. I think that's mostly been the plot so far. It's actually been a surprisingly good read. Volume 1 I was a bit meh about, and then Volume 2 and 3 definitely got better. I did enjoy it. I've picked up the light novel for my partner to try, and I am keeping an eye out for when Volume 4 comes out. Next we have Strobe Edge 1-10, and that is complete, and I understand this is a very, very hard series to collect. I was exceedingly lucky to be in Forbidden Planet, and they had 3-10 on their shelves. And I was like, I'll just grab them all, and I got them as part of a 3 for 2, so I just need to track down 1 and 2, which was actually quite easy. I got them second hand, and I think I had the full set within a week or so. I did quite enjoy it. It's not, I think Love Me Love Me Not is still my favourite Yosaki series, but it's probably followed up by Strobe Edge. I think it's another one where just there's so much lack of communication. It did annoy me a bit, but I think I liked more of the characters in this than I did in A Horror Ride. As we have The Strongest Sage with the Weakest Crest 1-8. I think I'm probably behind on this. I haven't been rushing to pick this up. Some of these I've gotten second hand or half price as well. It's kind of an isekai, but again, he's kind of reborn in the same world just many, many years later. So not completely an isekai, just a reborn reincarnation. In this world, different crests mean you have different levels of abilities. He, in his original life, is like, I've reached the max I can with the crest I've got. I need to be reborn so I can get the even better crest, and then I can max out my abilities with that. but weird things have happened when he's been reborn many years later, such as the crest he has is considered shit, and he's like, but it's not, it's the best one, I don't understand what's happening. And then there's a whole bunch of like corruption and secret stuff, and he's trying to kind of figure that out. I think I've read up to 4 of this series. He's also kind of sort of incidentally building a harem, like they all seem to do. If you have studio lighting, pull it out. Studio apartment, good lighting, angel included. I think that's an amazing title. I think the art is lovely. I think the volume is okay. It's meh. A guy wakes up and there is an angel for some reason asleep on his balcony, and he kind of takes her in. Yeah, it's most of the volume is him trying to explain and get this angel dressed and ready to understand how to live like humans. And then by the end of the volume, it's kind of started to turn into a strange harem with a whole bunch of women of different types, like angels and ice person or something. It was okay. Again, it was very fine, I think. Fantasy slice of life. As we have Succubus in the Hitman Volume 1, I did vaguely enjoy this one. I am now quite behind. I think Volume 3 is out. Guy, actually, I talk about this in a lot more detail in another one of my, actually the same video as Romantic Killer, about Volume 1s I read and my thoughts. So there's like, this guy has done a deal with the Succubus for a whole bunch of powers / coming back to life. So this body belongs to one guy and he's died, and then the consciousness of another guy has gone into this body so he can enact his revenge, and it's a mix of him trying to lie to the people around him and make everyone think that he is still the guy whose body this is, while also trying to find some people who killed him in his original body. I thought it was an interesting read. Apparently it does get a bit weird in later volumes, but I'll see when I get those. As we have Summertime Rendering 1 to 4 and 6, I am only missing Volume 5, and it's mostly because I've never seen it discounted yet. So most of these I actually managed to get for a decent price, so it was quite interesting. They printed them in like halves, so 1 to 3 was printed together and then 4, 5, 6 were printed together. This RRP's at like $16.99, $18.99, whereas 4 to 6 RRP at $22.99. These ones are definitely more pricey than the first 3. Most of these I got for £11, £12. These 2 I think I got for £13, £14 maybe. So I'm hoping to try and spend the same amount on Volume 5. I've read up to Volume 3. I've actually really enjoyed it. Considering it's technically a horror and I don't like horror, I've absolutely loved the mystery and the mechanic, the sort of Groundhog Day kind of stuff around it. Really intrigued to finish it off and see how it ends. I would potentially recommend for like a good mystery series, but it's quite pricey, so I think I'm struggling to recommend it. I know Polar Udon Entertainment had a whole bunch of issue with their prints, like the hardcovers I think got delayed by like 8 months, but no fault through Udon's, I believe. I think it was the the printers messed up and then like didn't tell Udon they'd messed up till it was too late, and it was like, oh, I felt so bad for them because I know a lot of people hated on Udon for it, but it wasn't Udon's fault. But I don't think Udon were completely upfront with the issues. I think a member of staff commented somewhere about what had happened, and that circulated. It's still an interesting series. I really like the spines too. As we have Sundame Milky Way 1 to 4. I don't like this series anymore. I liked, it's not great anyway. There's a lot of like touching that's not necessarily wanted. A guy is horrendously gross and just wants to bang anything that moves, and he's horrendously terrible to women, and for some reason all these women want to be nice to him. I don't understand. Or date him. I don't get it. But then there's a really weird scene in Volume 4 regarding children, and I didn't like that. Is he a Super Heroes? Hey X Heroes? Volume 5. I got this half price in Forbidden Planet. I obviously haven't read it yet. I don't have earlier volumes. Next we have Super Mario Manga Mania, and that is a one-shot, unfortunately. It is a selection of chapters from the Mario manga that ran in Japan. I think there was like 40-something volumes in Japan, and it's just a selection of some of them, which makes me sad. I would have absolutely adored more to be printed, especially because I've played so many Mario games, and there's like a lot of chapters from like Mario Sunshine and Paper Mario. I didn't realise there were Paper Mario manga. Oh, so sad we've not gotten more, but we've got more Kirby. Then we have, suppose a kid from the last Dungeon Boonies moved to a starter town 1 to 5, and that is, actually no, I don't know if I'm up to date anymore. Basically a guy, this kid is like really weak in this town, and everyone's like, there, it's okay to be weak. And then he decides to go move to like the starting town. It turns out, relatively, he's really weak in the town he was from, but compared to everyone else, he's stupid, crazy OP. But he's not really aware of it, he doesn't really get it, he's not conscious of it, and it's silly, very silly. Volume 1 was great, Volume 2 was a bit more meh. I don't think I've read further than that yet. Survival in Another World with My Mistress 1 and 2, and I'm getting Volume 3 for Christmas. This is the better Minecraft isekai, but it is smutty. It's plastic wrapped. Basically, this guy's been isekai'd into a world and he has Minecraft powers. He's able to, if he like, where's some of my favourite bits? Things like this, I can jump by imagining tapping the space key. It's like, what? If I combine it with the shift key, I can run. And he can like, they never use the word Minecraft, of course. But they like, he can like open menu and he can craft things and he can pick up blocks and place blocks, such as that. Place a block. Hup, hup, hup. He's built a wall. He's making the bulwark vanish just by swinging an axe. And yeah, very silly and lighthearted, but definitely an edge series. There's definitely a bunch of smut scenes between him and the elf woman.